Hi, my name is Logan Bell, and this is my research presentation for Art 351V. I'm presenting on the evolution of American art from the Hudson River School of Art until present day. The Hudson River School of Art was most famous in the 19th century when it began, and this was the very first art school of American history. This school of art led to the avant groups through the 20th century and the abstract expression movement, which ultimately led to the 21st century minimalism and pop art. Introduction of art and expression. Since the beginning of time, art has been a form of expression people have been able to use. This gives us a way to express feelings and emotions without words or speaking, giving people the ability to express their thoughts in pictures or artwork that may look as if it resembles nothing to the sort from another standpoint. Art can be interpreted in many different ways, so one person's reasoning for creating artwork and the feelings they express can be interpreted much differently by the eyes of someone viewing the artwork. That's what makes art so unique and interesting to study. First of all, I'm going to start with the Hudson River School of Art. The 19th century was a very monumental period in America as they gained freedom from Europe, expanding the country westward, gaining cities throughout the northeastern side. This school of art focused on the frontier, still life, everyday life, and the sea. And this is because that's all that the colonials had back then. This is what they would see every day. And that's pretty much all the artwork they knew, to just have a realistic style of artwork on what they saw every day in their everyday life. A lot of influences for this artwork were Romanticism, depicting hills, rivers, valleys, and other landscapes of the Hudson River Valley, including Casco, Adirondack, and the White Mountains. Influential artists in the school included Thomas Cole, Frederick Edwin Church, Albert Bierstand, and Usher B. Durand. Thomas Cole was very famous throughout the Hudson City School of Art. He got much of his style of landscape paintings from artists before him like Thomas Doughty. He had dramatic form and vigorous technique reflecting British aesthetic theory of sublime or fearsome. Most of his pieces depicted the wilderness and its beauty. One of Thomas Cole's most famous pictures is the Oxbow. This is a view of Mount Holyoke in the Northampton, Massachusetts after a thunderstorm. He painted this in 1936. The Oxbow shows a river with the right side being the sun coming in, and the left side is a dark, gloomy side, which you can see storm clouds up in the top corner of the left corner, and a wooded area to the left bottom corner where the woodlands are, and the sun is much brighter towards the river to the right, and with bright hues showing that the storm is passing over. Frederick Church was also a very influential artist in this Hudson School of Art period. Thomas Cole took Church under his wing and was a teacher and mentor to him throughout their time together. And Frederick Church seemed to find the most fame throughout his time in the Hudson River School of Art time, and he was able to expand his artwork so much because he grew up as a privileged child, because his father worked as a jeweler and banker, so he was able to expand his horizons and travel much more than other artists were, and see much more than other artists were able to see. The Heart of Andes is a very famous painting from Frederick Edwin Church, and he painted this in 1859. The Heart of Andes is inspired by Church's second trip to South America. He uses many different watercolors and colors throughout the work, and he's able to make bright greens and yellows that make the grass and forest lands pop throughout the majority of the painting. In the back left, you'll see snow mountains, adding subtle yet important detail and image to its realism. And since he was much more privileged, this shows in his work being a lot better than some of his peers. The avant-garde movement. Artists moved away from impression and realism in the nature around them from the movement before them. This was a more expressive, abstract form of art using much more creativity and thinking. And at the time, people didn't understand and appreciate this artwork as much because it was much different than the impressionism and realism that they were used to. The abstract wasn't seen in everyday life as much, so it was harder to be able to compare it to what they would see every day. It was bold, innovative, progressive, and experimental, and one of the most famous abstract artists of America was William de Kooning. William de Kooning was born April 24th in 1904 into a working-class family in Rotterdam, Netherlands. He then traveled across seas to New York City in 1927. He used a lot of imagination and color with his abstract style, making it what it was and just breaking the laws of what used to be. Some called him an alcoholic, and his dramatic rise to prominence was between 1948 and 1953 when he found his signature style. Woman One is one of William de Kooning's most famous paintings, and you can see that he uses many colors and abstract lines and curves that just pretty much take you everywhere. In the top, you can see the eyes, nose, and face represented, and the breast and the chest that have half circles to show that it was a woman being painted, and her broad shoulders. There's reds, greens, pinks, yellows all throughout the painting, with black lines used to outline the figures that he wants us to see. And then this avant-garde eventually led to American pop art in the 21st century. This art was the most political influenced art of all the movements prior. It's very famous throughout big cities where it gets the most view and publicity. It's used in many comic books, cartoons. It's famous in the late 20th to early 21st century and uses a lot of color and creativity, combining abstract and realism. And one of the most famous pop artists that we knew is Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was a famous pop artist from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, born in 1928 to 1987 when he passed. He used many bright colors to make his artwork pop, escaping the realism that was before him. And one of his very famous pieces of work was labeled Cowboys and Indians. As you can see to the left, Teddy Roosevelt 386 Cowboys and Indians by Andy Warhol was created in 1986, and it shows a picture of Teddy Roosevelt, but much different than the original picture. We can see that Teddy Roosevelt's face is very dark and gloomy. His mustache and glasses and eyes are shaded with blues and outlined by reds, with a pink outline of his hat and teal. This upset many people during that time because of all the distraught colors that took away from the actual picture of Teddy Roosevelt, and upset a lot of people because they viewed him as a very important person, so they thought that he was making fun of or just not giving the right support to Teddy Roosevelt. The picture to the right is the full Cowboys and Indians work, where this shows all of his pieces of artwork and the Cowboys and Indians. In conclusion, all of these stages of history made American art what it is today. The Hudson River School of Art paved the way for the avant-garde artists, and then ultimately inspired pop artists of the more modern day. And somewhat they're all linked together, and you can find artists using artists before them as inspiration for their work.